What makes a company great? What makes a company tick? You know, the companies that have lasted for years and will be around for years to come. At Markel Group, what we found is that it's beyond great product or service. Those are important, sure, but it's really about the people who drive culture, who embody the spirit of the work, and who build lasting relationships across organizations. We're on a journey to tell the stories of those people, the ones who make Markel Group successful. Welcome to Markel Style. I'm Ace Callwood.
I'm Matt Johnson.
And we're back for another Markel Style Session episode. But before we kick off, for those who are just tuning in for the first time, what the heck are we doing here, Matt?
We're telling the stories of the people who won something called the Markel Style Award, which is Markel Style is our culture and creed, and these people really embody the values that are in there.
I dig it. All right. If anybody wants more information, go watch the first episode. Let's jump into this episode. We're talking about a little company that most folks haven't heard of called Markel.
That's it. Just a little Fortune 500 with 60 offices and 5,000 people around the globe.
Is that it? Okay. All right. So Markel's an insurance company.
That's it.
But maybe give me the unabridged history. I want the whole thing.
This is Sam Markel, first-generation Jewish immigrant, was living up in New Jersey. This was down in around the 20s. He decided to move down to Virginia for better economic opportunities.
Norfolk, if I remember correctly.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk.
You know.
That's
You've
how we
heard
say
parts of this story. That's it. So down in Norfolk, we had, in the 20s, you had, pretty vibrant economic conditions for a lot of people, but there were some folks, especially in that area, a lot of GIs who had come back from the First World War who couldn't find traditional employment. And so they actually started essentially the Uber of their day. They were running these taxi cabs that were unregulated, and they would charge a flat fee, a nickel. And at the time, a nickel was called a jitney. That's why they call them jitney buses.
That's not real. That's made up. You made that up just now.
Google it.
Okay.
And
all right.
so they had these jitney buses, and the Norfolk City Council started to see some alarming trends. A lot of accidents. This is the early days of automobiles.
It was just the wild west of, what side of the street did you drive on?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and these vehicles, sometimes they would build extensions on them so extra people could sit in there. I mean, it's like entrepreneurial spirit lives down in Norfolk.
That it does.
So the city council got together and said, hey, we got to do something. So they passed an ordinance which essentially said everybody who drives a taxi cab of any shape or form has to have insurance. So immediately these jitney bus drivers went to insurance companies and said, hey, can we get insurance? And traditional insurance companies, this is the early days of automobiles, were not equipped to underwrite this type of risk because there are a lot of human lives on one single automobile. That's a big liability, and there's no way you could charge a premium that made sense for somebody who's charging a nickel for a ride. So Sam Markel was ever the entrepreneur, and he was always looking at problems that needed to be solved. I think that was probably his secret power. He would look around and say, how can I help the people around me? And so he saw this issue, and he convened a meeting of all these jitney bus drivers and said, basically, I understand there's no traditional insurance company that will cover this. He had some experience in the insurance industry, and so they came up with the idea to essentially make their own insurance company.
First, I didn't know anybody could be as fired up about insurance as you are.
Let me tell you.
Now I'm excited.
Do you want some?
I've got some. You've just handed some over.
I saw your jitney in the parking lot out there.
Speaking of jitneys, let's take a jitney bus to Summit, New Jersey. How about that? This is a masterclass in segues, Matt. We're going to go meet some of the people in Markel. And there's an incredible woman in New Jersey named Katie Rubino who works in the business, and she won a Markel Style Award.
Absolutely. So, as you say, Katie works in Summit. She came in 15 years ago as a receptionist, and she had no experience in insurance, and she was essentially the type of person, you ever meet somebody and you're just like, they're so switched on, and they have a hunger and an ambition in their belly, but you pair that with a great personality, and it's like, it doesn't matter if it's somebody at the grocery store line or, somebody you meet in a doctor's office, you're like, I would hire that person. That's who Katie is. And so the minute she got in there, people were looking and saying, we got to keep Katie around. And so within a few months, they said, Katie, would you be interested in joining the claims team? And so she did, and she processed claims for our reinsurance division for a long time. And then she became essentially an underwriting assistant. And, you alluded to it, these are very complex insurance policies. So just writing and insuring somebody is a very complex process. So we have entire teams that move the mechanics of that along, and that's what she's been doing. And then recently she was promoted to lead a team of all of the underwriting assistants for global reinsurance division.
Global reinsurance. Reinsurance is just insurance twice, right?
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, give us the primer on reinsurance.
Let me tell you, Ace, like I studied mathematics, and these guys gave me a run for my money in terms of complexity. You would not believe the jargon and the complexity of insurance. So yes, there is something called reinsurance, but I think we should talk to Todd Costican, who is the Chief Underwriting Officer for our Global Reinsurance Division, because I think he does a little better job explaining it than I would.
All right, to the pro.
So reinsurance in its simplest form is insurance for insurance companies. So insurance companies aggregate risk, and sometimes the risk that they take on gets bigger than they're comfortable with. So they go out and buy these large contracts of reinsurance where they offload some of that risk into a secondary market called the reinsurance market.
Well, you could have just started with that, Matt. Reinsurance is insurance for insurance.
That's it.
That was easy enough. even you got that. Okay, so Todd has now just framed what Katie does, because she's running a team at Markel Global Reinsurance. And let's jump back in to the Katie story. Her impact in the business seems widespread, and as evidenced by her winning a Style Award, enough folks have pointed to Katie as the woman inside the business, or one of them at least, who is doing some incredible work. Let's talk about the impact.
Yeah, so to exist as long as Markel has, leaders have to wear two hats. One is you have to have the vision and make the decisions that are going to drive the business forward. But at the same time, you almost have to be looking to the rear view to say, who's going to take up the mantle when I'm gone? And you actually have to identify and prepare the next generation of talent to move forward. And I think if you look at Katie's impact, she's really done a nice job of getting that next generation ready to be supporting underwriters in our reinsurance division.
So how about this? Let's go talk to one of those people and hear how he shares his story about Katie. Arthur.
Oh, I love Arthur. Yeah, let's hear from Arthur right now, because he is going to, basically Arthur came in and took the job that Katie had when she was in claims. And, it wasn't even her official job to train him. But as you'll see with what he says, she did a darn good job getting him ready to go.
Let's go talk to Arthur.
I actually replaced her. She was in the claims department, and she was moving over to underwriting, and there was an opening, and I was able to take the opportunity to come over to Markel with her advancing to underwriting. Katie trained me for the first, I would say, at least 60 days, if not more. Probably more. I had to run over to her quite a few times, Katie, and she was always there. Her personality, which is personal, I know about her family life, she knows about my family life. It's not just all work. We speak, we'll talk about work, but we also take the time to talk about family, and that's what's important, and that's what Markel is all about, family. And she brings that to the table. Her door is open, just like her heart.
So that's Arthur talking about Katie, and there's something palpable there as Arthur is talking about what Katie has done for him and his understanding of the nuance and complexity of the business and an articulation of the Markel way, if you will. Here is how we do work and right by our customers and our colleagues. That last line of Katie's door is always open, like that one sticks. And he talks about her heart as well, which you don't always hear in the professional context, but again, you felt it. And that for me is, I think, why we're telling Katie's story, for one, but really the people around and the impact that one might have on them if we take training seriously, if we say, hey, I'm here to support you so we can all do great. Like, that's pretty awesome.
It's amazing, Ace, but I do need to warn you a little bit. If you go up to that Summit office, you will see when you meet Katie Rubino everything you just said. She's inspiring, she's supportive. But I'm also going to tell you, you need to watch your back, because Katie Rubino has more pranks for more people than probably anybody in Markel.
Yeah.
And so part of the Markel style is to keep a sense of humor. And I think it's kind of funny that, why would a company write that into their value statement?
Yeah.
But if you look at our history, it's always been what we're about. It's just enjoying what we're doing, having a little fun. And Katie really over-indexes on that in the best way.
There's a school of thought that says we should take the work seriously and ourselves significantly less so. And that, as I've started to get more and more of Katie's story, that seems to be the ethos, is we've got complexity and we've got risk and we've got sometimes people's lives or their livelihood at stake as we're deciding what we insure, how we insure it, and how we give people that sense of comfort. At the same time, we're humans, and we can cut loose and have a little bit of fun. I mean, to that end, Katie's great. I was going to say good. Katie is great at this. I believe there's a clip of Katie Rubino's greatest hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go watch that.
When we had, the computer towers used to be able to hit, I think it was like Control-Alt and the down arrow, and it would flip your screen upside down. A couple people listened to, had the radio playing, so I would change it to Hot 97, which is like the rap station for New York City, and that would be a little startling for some people when they came in. One of my favorites was we had a wireless doorbell, and we hid it in somebody's drawer that we would ring here and there. My personal favorite used to be able to, nobody sends faxes anymore, but you could attempt to send a fax to someone's cell phone or their work phone, and you would, when you do that and you don't actually send a fax, it just keeps retrying, so their phone keeps ringing and they keep hearing the fax noise. And I had a box of those, the snaps that you throw on the ground and make noise, and we put those, or I put those under the wheels of his rolling chair.
So, Katie Rubino, bundle of fun. There's the seriousness of the work, and then there's seriousness in the community in which Katie exists, and it seems like she orients to both of those really well. As we were capturing stories, folks were talking about her work out with the people that she lives with and around, and I want to capture some of that because that seems critical for the type of person we're talking about here. So Katie has fun, she gives people a hard time, she does great work, and she's also helping the community move forward as well, as I remember.
Absolutely. So Katie has been, I would say, within Markel, she's got to probably be the biggest fundraiser we've ever seen for any cause or nonprofit. There's an organization called Covenant House, which provides services for...
Is it foster care? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kids who are aging out of foster care, and it's basically an organization that, if you look at the statistics, they're not so good. The probability that somebody is going to really emerge from foster care into a productive and healthy lifestyle is not that high. And so this organization provides wraparound services for those kids, and that could be housing, that could be education, support, or any number of life services that they may need.
I mean, talk about a cause. The things that we care about and the things that we find some connection to are powerful. And Katie not only finds time and makes space for that, but has also wrangled quite a bit of money. How's she go about that? Tell me how that works.
So every year there's a Sleep Out campaign, which is a fundraising campaign where Katie assembles a team, and this is throughout the insurance industry and really throughout a variety, United States, where you essentially get a team and you sleep on the streets as if you were a houseless person, and then you raise money for the Covenant House for that. And so they've been doing this for a number of years. Katie's led the team. She's now, her total amount raised is over $375,000. And I should say, one of the things that Markel really helps Katie out with is they have a 3-to-1 matching program. So for every dollar that she makes, she gets $3 back. So if somebody gives just as little as $25, then all of a sudden she's got $100 donation for the cause, thanks to Markel. And so I think that's really been, from our perspective, you hear a lot of people talk about that impact and that legacy from Katie, because without her, that $375,000 wouldn't have been raised.
Yeah.
She was the one that brought that in.
So this strikes me at two levels, Matt. At the individual level, there are the communities in which we exist and the causes for which we have an affinity, right? And Katie, clearly, with Covenant House and the kids that she gets to support, that piece is critical, and it says a lot about her character, who she is, and what she cares about. But then there's the second level of Markel as an organization with an affinity for their people and those communities that they touch. And I remember in the long history of Markel, you mentioning Sam Markel had an ethos here that probably fits. Can you give me that?
Yeah, so one of the big ideas, and we almost call it the dream of Markel, is that every person who comes into contact with Markel and Markel Group is better off for having done so.
Yeah, so as an outsider looking into Markel, it's, whoa, they've got this crazy gift program, but internally that's cost of doing business, right? If we are not taking care of people, what are we doing? And so that 3-to-1 match that Markel has allows Katie to further her impact, but it has to start with her and the group. Markel has made space for that to be effective across the organization.
Yeah,
that's
because
pretty cool.
If you build a company where people are better off because they came into contact with the organization, that's how you power success. Because you're going to attract customers, you're going to attract employees, you're going to attract shareholders, and you're going to have happy communities around you because you're operating by a golden rule. It's like, I'm better off for you being here. Of course I want you here. It's a service-minded and sort of an approach that a lot of people may not take to business, but is actually one of the most powerful strategies there is.
Oh, I love that. So let's stick with the theme of things that Katie's into.
Yeah.
We've got giving back to the community. We've got training and making sure folks are moving through the ranks of Markel in support of the business. But some of the things Katie digs, music is on the list, is my understanding.
It is.
And, given where she's from, and you might make some assumptions about what she likes on the music front. The Boss, perhaps?
Yes, well, indeed. So Katie, Summit, New Jersey is right northern New Jersey. Freehold's not that far, and for the connoisseurs among us, they would know Bruce Springsteen was in fact born in Freehold, New Jersey, still resides in that area. And so you would expect that anybody from there is a tried and true Springsteen fan, and that is the assumption I made. So we're packing up with the gear and just having a chat with Katie, and I was like, hey, Katie, what's your favorite song? And she kind of looks at me with like a confused look, like, what kind of question is that? And I was like, and she's like, no, I actually don't know. And I was like, oh, well, Springsteen, what's your favorite Springsteen song? And then she said,
for those listening, you can hear Matt's heart break as he tells this story. She didn't know a Springsteen song.
It's definitely stuck with me in a very real way. Yeah, did not know. And she was like, I couldn't even name a single record, Matt. And I was just like, it was a oof. But we got to a situation, so I wanted to be open-minded. I was like, okay, well, if you don't like Springsteen, what do you like musically? And she said 90s hip-hop. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
All right. Like, true fan.
I mean, that's far end from The Boss, like, to go 90s hip-hop, which she's not wrong. I'm into
good stuff.
It. Okay.
Great stuff.
All right.
But yeah, so she's now energized in the same way I was. And I'm like trying to hold on and get over my heartbreak. But then she essentially gets in real quick and she's like, I just love like Tupac and Method Man, Redman, the whole thing. And so she's like going through the list, and I was like, this is amazing. And she's like, my son Vincent was a scheduled birth. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And she's like, and I got to choose his birthday within a little bit of a window. And so I chose April 17th. And now she's looking at me as if I know what April 17th is, the same way that I was looking at her asking what your favorite song is. And, of course, I don't know what April 17th is. And so I say, and what's that? And she says, it's Redman's birthday. And
wait. So she chose Redman's birthday for her son to be born.
That's it.
If I remember, her birthday, she shares a birthday with Tupac.
That's it.
I mean, that makes sense now.
It was written in the universe. It dictated.
In the stars.
Yes. So yeah, we had this situation. But anyway, fast forward now.
Yeah.
We get to the shareholders meeting, and we like to do recognition of all the Style Award winners at that event.
I was there. It was really cool, and all of the Style winners were there, many of whom their stories we get to tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we wanted to surprise Katie, and I went to the folks at Markel Group, my leadership, and I was like, hey, I got this Redman story, and then we started kicking around ideas, and believe it or not, like you would think this idea would get shot down immediately, but I was like, we could see if we could get a video of Redman kind of thanking Katie or acknowledging Katie, and so they were like, yeah, go for it, and I was like, wait, we can actually go approach Redman and see. And so, sure enough, that's what we did. We got a video from Redman, and he acknowledged Katie, and then we were able to surprise her with it at the shareholders meeting.
Well, let's roll that, because that moment was a special one.
Hey, Katie, what's good? What's good? What's good? Hey, listen, I want to thank you for being the best teammate. Your coworkers, they love you. All your colleagues, they love you. They just want to show you some love. I just want to show you some love because I heard you're one of my biggest fans, and it's only right that I show you the love. You know, like you show the love, I show the love back. That's how this world should work. This world should work with love, payments, right?
What a legend. That is the Redman talking to Katie Rubino in front of the entirety of the Markel annual shareholders meeting. I mean, talk about a magic moment that started with Katie and turned into this reminder of what Markel's all about, distilled to a phrase, let's show the love.
That's it. And I think Redman might have just distilled the style down in as few words as we've heard anybody ever do, including you and I, for sure.
Yeah, true.
But it's true. And all the history we've talked about from Sam Markel on, you realize that this business is truly people first.
Yeah.
And there's a real power that comes when you orient yourselves towards the idea that I can help my customers win, whether it's a jitney bus or a tanker or a piece of art or a dredge, as we talked about last time. My customers will be better off on the basis of having done business with us. I can help my employees win because they will find a rewarding career that allows them the opportunity to have the sorts of connections that we talked about, whether it's with Arthur or Todd or Francesca. And then we will talk about our shareholders, absolutely, because they will make money and they will see their company grow. But the reason it grows is because it's people first.
Mm-hmm. It's that win-win-win of Markel,
It's a win,
if you
win,
will.
win.
So we've got one last story to
That's
tell, if I remember correctly. We're going to go hear from Todd again.
Yeah.
And remind me his role. He's the head underwriter.
Yeah, chief underwriter.
Chief underwriter.
Yeah, for our global reinsurance division.
Okay. Well, let's go talk to Todd.
I just got back to the office yesterday, and sitting on my desk was a postcard. And the postcard was from my aunt's farm, where I spent summers as a child. And Katie was aware that my aunt had recently passed. And so she Googled, and she found the obituary that talked about my aunt's farm. And she went on eBay and found a postcard from Maplevale Farm. As soon as I saw it, I absolutely remembered it from something around 50 years ago.
No note or anything?
No, she just left it there. But I knew. As soon as I looked, I said, Katie.
I mean, what do you add to a story like that from Todd, other than Katie and what she does and who she is everything we're talking about with the Markel style.
Indeed. And we're grateful for her.
I love it. We'll see you next time, man.
See you.